Hi, welcome back everyone. I wasn't really able to play during the league start, so in this video I'm going to talk about my first character of the league. Some of you might know that I already have Elementalist version of this build, but this time I decided to make Chieftain version. They're pretty much the same build, with the only difference is that Chieftain version is cheaper and has more damage, while Elementalist version is a bit faster. When I was making this build, I had only several goals in mind. I wanted this build to be low budget. I wanted to blast the maps with some crazy AoE while having somewhat decent increased rarity to gain more gold for trading. And I think that I managed to achieve it with flying colors. But before we begin, if you would like to watch me play and theorycraft builds live, ask a question or just have a chat, feel free to follow me on Twitch. Okay, let's get started with the build. This build is made around one interesting unique stuff, the Fulcrum. This style will reflect elements we inflict back to us. So the idea of the build is pretty simple. We are doing some strong ignites that are reflected back at us, and then we just run around. Now we need to somehow spread those ignites from us. For this reason, we can use either implicit on the gloves or fan the flame passives on a cluster. It's important, and without it you won't be able to play this build. But before that, we need to solve several problems. The first one is how we are supposed to survive those crazy ignites that we reflect at ourselves. No amount of fire resistance can solve this problem. So there is only one possible solution for this problem. We need to be unaffected by ignite. And please note that unaffected by ignite and immune to ignites are two separate things. Unaffected means that we are still ignited but just don't take any damage. Okay, how we can make ourselves unaffected by ignites? There are 4 ways of achieving said thing. First one is Chieftain Ascendancy point, next one is Assassin point, and the last 2 comes from the boots. There is a cheap unique boots that makes us unaffected by all damaging elements and elevated mode on the boots as well. And I decided to settle on Chieftain. If you're curious how to make elevated boots, you can ask me in the Discord server. Okay, now we are not dying from our own ignites, but how we are going to apply strong ignites from the beginning. Here's where explosions come to the help. This build has 6 sources of explosion. Huge explosion from the Chieftain itself, explosion from Fire Mastery, Explosion Flask, Herald of Ash, Ascendancy gloves, and a new Fallbound jewel. But some of you might see another problem now. Last 3 explosion sources are not able to ignite due to explosion type. So, to overcome this problem, I'm using another new Fallbound unique, Daidaning Dawn, which will make all damage type can ignite. So this build is basically Elementalist Shapers of Flame node. Okay, we can deal some damage now, but what about the speed? I don't know about you, but I don't really like playing slow characters. So we can use another interesting unique that can solve this problem for us. Winter Reverie will invert the effect of chill on us, increasing our action speed instead of reducing it. And since we are reflecting elements back at us from the Fulcrum, we don't really need to worry about finding the sources of the chill. Combine it with the Death Rush Ring, Phase Run, and Withering Step with some flasks, and you get some respectful levels of speed. And last but not least, just having some explosions is not really enough for the clear, and we need to spice it up with big AoE. Luckily, Fulcrum is a 2-handed melee weapon, so we can use several medium clusters for good level of AoE increasement. Well, this is pretty much it for the key interactions of the build. The rest is pretty simple. So let's talk about the gear for the build. For the weapon, I'm obviously using Fulcrum. Try to get as much demon conversion as possible. The helmet is any rare helmet with some life, resistance and big rarity. The body armor is Greed's Embrace for rarity. The amulet I'm using is a rare amulet with life, damage over time, some resistance and again high rarity. For the anoint, I'm using Lasting Tempest for more duration of the ignite. The rings are Winter Reef and Death Rush. For the gloves, I'm using Ascendancy for explosion. The boots are Wonder Trap for even more rarity. And the belt is Dying Down. The flasks are Aurea's End for explosions, Gold Flask for rarity, Silver and Quicksilver Flask for speed, and Ruby Flask for fire rest and some ignite chance if you are on a budget. For the grafts, I'm using 2 grafts with a high single target damage to help with the bosses if you run out of ignite. Now let's talk about the Ascendancy and the tree. For the Ascendancy points, I'm taking Cleansy Water and Storm's Embrace and Death of Fury. For the last point, you can take either Sunslide or Otherworldly from the Breach lore. Now, back to the tree. It's pretty much self-explanatory and nothing really new is here. I'm taking some life, ignite duration, more life, endurance charges, maximum resistance here, more life, exposure mastery, some reservation passives, fire mastery for life regen, and another one for explosions, and even more life with reservation. So let's not stop here and move straight to the jewels. For the watch clusters, I'm using 2 fire clusters, one with Burning Bright and Sadist, and the other one with Doriani's Lesson for Leech and Master of Fire for exposure. For the mediums, I'm using one with Fan the Flame and Burning Bright, and the other 3 are identical cluster with Titanic Spin and Assert Dominance passives. Then I'm using new Fallborn Witchbane for some explosion chance, elegant hybrid with Caspiro, with mana reservation here and gain during charges, then some random watchers with life recovery vitality, and the rest of the jewels are rare with life and dot multi-mods. Okay, let's move forward to the gems. In the body armor I have main damaging setup with Fire Trap, Life Tap, Control Destruction, Burn Damage, Swift Affliction, and Trap and Mind Damage. Why I decided to use Fire Trap, you might ask? The reason is pretty simple. This way I can run Reflect maps without a problem. Then in the weapon 4 link Phase Run, Withering Step with more duration and automation, and the other 2 are separate links for casting that portal. Since this build will die sometimes, it's really convenient to have it here. Next, in the helmet, Vitality, Flesh and Stone, link with Arrogance, and the final sockets, Purity of Fire, not link with Arrogance. In the gloves, another 3 link setup with custom damage taking Immortal Call with Life Tap, and last socket is Petrified Blood. And finally, in the boots, Malevolence and Blood Rage, and again they are not linked with another 2 sockets where I'm using Life Tap and Blade Fall of Thratos. The reason why I'm using it is to curse enemies more reliably for explosion from Azenath and Witchbane Jewel. And last but not least, how to play this build. When you enter the map, you need to kill 1 pack of monsters, so you throw your trap, activate Bladefall and Blood Rage, use your graph and dodge the mobs around. After you get your initial big ignite, you are free to run around and pick up the loot. And this is it when it comes to the build. Overall, I'm really satisfied with the results. I'm able to blast some mobs with ease while earning good levels of gold. Since this build is so cheap, I would definitely recommend it to anyone. By the way, I'm already almost done with my next build. Do you like lazy builds as much as me? Do you want to farm Uber's AFK? If that sounds interesting to you, then don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitch. If you want to support me financially, there are links in the description below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!